Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, all praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us his truth and who rule well. Peace and love, salutations and mercy be unto the hopeful elect, Uakim and Fiakwakim, that believe in Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai with their whole heart, mind, body, and spirit, and who are waiting for these last and final prophecies to unfold and happen in the earth and the return of our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai. I came across an article, and this was, what is today's date? Today's date is the 12th, but the article, I ran across it, January 3rd, 2022, the year of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai turning up. And it's from RT, and it reads, countries set to launch e-money, this year. And, the first question that you should ask yourself, what is e-money? And you can go to, websites like Investopedia, or you can simply just put it in Google, and ask, what is e-money? E-money is electric money. All right, what is electric money? Electric money refers to money that exists in banking computer systems, that may be used to facilitate electronic transactions. Although its value is backed by fiat currency, it may therefore be exchanged into a physical, tangible form. Electronic money is primarily used for electronic transactions due to the sheer convenience of this methodology. Now, you may be saying to yourself, well, we already have e-money. And that's true. When you use your credit card, that's a form of e-money. When you use your cell phone, in the different payment methods, such as Zelle, Chime, Cash App, what's the other one? PayPal, because there's many different forms, that are out there. Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, that's considered using electronic money, because it's not physical, tangible money. It's not money that can be handled in your hand, such as coinage, or paper dollars. So we already have a form of e-money. But basically what they're getting ready to do is take it to the next step, with central bank digital currency, which is going to see the end of the fiat dollar, altogether. Now, going back to the article, it says the rise of cryptocurrency has driven central banks to attempt a similar digital approach to monetary policy. Jamaica just announced it successfully tested its Cbdc, and several other nations are ready to launch theirs. Cbdc stands for Central Bank Digital Currency. A country's fiat currency is in the form of a digital asset, which, unlike cryptocurrency, is controlled by official monetary authorities, usually central banks. So far, only 2 countries in the world use a Cbdc, the Bahamas and Nigeria. However, other nations have been working on Cbdc release, in their own. Now, I'm not going to read what it says about these nations, but I'm going to just read off the nations that are working on these. Number 1 is Jamaica. Number 2 is China. Number 3, you wouldn't believe who number 3 is Kazakhstan. So are they going through what they're going through truly? Because we know what Esau says within the media and in the news. But can all of that inflation, that's happening over there be the cause of them switching their currency from whatever their currency was called and being within a physical, tangible form into being an electric form or a digital form, which will be cryptocurrency, and controlled by a central bank? The next on the list is Russia. Then you have Brazil, Barzal within the Hebrew. I believe that's how you would pronounce that. So these particular countries are rolling out Cbdc, And the main one that we're looking forward to that isn't on the list, all right, is great old Babylon. All right, we're looking forward to Babylon doing this, all right, because there's a method to their madness. You're going to find out that all of this was a setup from the get-go. Now, reading from another website, which this is from a website called pi.com, spelled with two I's, so PIIE.com. And this is an article from April 21st, 2020. It says, how are central bank digital currencies different from other payment methods? Because if you think about it, we are using more than physical, tangible fiat currency, an electric form of that. All right. When you get paid often, for those of us that have jobs, you don't get checks no more. All right. And there's just a very limited few amount of people that still get checks that have to go and cash those checks. No, either your job is paying you direct deposit or they're putting it on a pay card. All right. That's how you're getting paid now. So for the most part, the majority of times that you pay for something, you're using, a credit card or you're using a debit card with e-money on it. You're not using that physical, tangible cash. All right. And all of this was a cycle, all right, to get you used to that system. All right. Because Esau deals with gradualism. So reading a little bit of this article, because there's a lot, and I'll put, every article that I go into within the description box. It says currency and payments have already gone digital. So this isn't anything new, but you're going to be more willing to accept what they're rolling out next because they have already gotten you used to it. All right. You got places where you can go and you don't even have to swipe your card. You can tap your card or tap your phone. All right. And really, they're getting you used to doing that so that when they really rolled out that real thing that they want to push, which is the digital all and the charagma, people are going to accept it and they'll be used to already scanning without paying with cash. Now, it says currency and payments have already gone digital. A consumer can choose among many digital payment instruments with retailers, including credit cards, app-based payments, or online mechanisms. So what, if anything, is new about central bank digital currencies, or CBDC? A wide variety of designs and features have been proposed by CBDCs in the payment system that will accompany them. But these share one attribute that is fundamentally new, giving consumers and regular businesses access to electronic central bank money. All right, financial institutions already have digital payment methods based on central bank money. When financial institutions pay each other, all right, they pay in reserves from accounts held with the central bank. But they are available only to a small set of intermediaries, generally banks. So these intermediaries, all right, these small banks, all right, you bank with them. All right, the money that you spend in the form of e-money, or rather it be fiat money, you go to those banks to either get it or you bank through those banks. Now, when they roll out the CBDC, I don't know if those intermediaries or those banks, such as JP Morgan, Stanley Morgan, Bank of America, Charter One, Fifth Third, Wells Fargo, I don't know if those banks will still be around, but basically with this CBDC, you'll be banking directly through, all right, the Federal Reserve. Now, one thing about the Federal Reserve, they can just through their computers type in zeros and ones and create as much money as they want, which isn't real money, and that's what the problem is. But basically, going directly through them, who controls and owns the Federal Reserve? All right. So basically, they're doing away with intermediaries, all right, or small banks, and not small banks because some of these banks are large, but they're doing away with these banks, and you'll be banking or getting your money straight and direct from the Federal Reserve. So the question is, who owns the Federal Reserve? All right, this is an article from DonaldWatkins.com, and it says, and I'll just abbreviate their name. All right. And actually, no, I'm going to say it this way. The Red Shields. All right. So those of you that are in the know, you should know exactly who I'm talking about. The Red Shields controlling the world's money supply for more than 2 centuries. All right. The Red Shield. All right. You should know exactly who I'm talking about when I say the Red Shield. And if you don't know, all right, just think of a prominent, well-known family, all right, whose name rhymes with Red Shield, all right, because that's the way that you say their name in German. Now, I just want to jump directly to it. So I'm doing a finding page, so I can get directly to it. But it reads, in 1913, the Red Shield established their last and current central bank in America, all right, the Federal Reserve Bank. This independent bank regulates and controls America's money supply and monetary policies. Even though the Federal Reserve is overseen by a board of governors appointed by the President of the United States, the bank's real control still resides with the Red Shield family. Not even President Donald J. Trump, which he's not the president anymore. You got Brandon, within office. It says not even, Donald J. Trump can break the Red Shield family's financial grip and influence on the Federal Reserve Bank. The Red Shield family's banking business pioneered international high finance during the industrialization of Europe and America. Red Shield banks finance rail systems around the world. They also finance the construction of the Suez Canal in Egypt. Additionally, Red Shield family's capital founded De Beers in 1888, which is the largest diamond mining company in the world. In 1987, Edmund de Rothschild created the world's conservation bank to gain control of land in third world countries, which represents 30% of the land surface of the earth. The bank assumed the debts of these countries in exchange for real estate that is conveyed to the bank. And I'm going to stop right there. There's a lot of history on the Red Shield family, and if you want, you can go through these articles. But the point being was that they established the Federal Reserve. So with that being said, that helps you to get a better angle, of where they're getting ready to come from. Because once they do away with the physical form, of fiat currency and issuing this digital form, which is known as CBDC, or digital currency, you'll need a digital wallet, to hold that digital currency on. All right, you need a way to store it. All right, because when you store Bitcoins, in an unsafe place, or if you store Dogcoin in an unsafe place, in Ethereum, whatever coin you're dealing with, that it can be hacked and stole. Well, don't be surprised if they come, we have a device you can put it in, where it can be safe. It will be offline until you're ready to use that particular credit, that's in that device, or that e-money that's within that device. And that's going to be within your hand, or your hands, or your foreheads, or wherever else you put it in your body. And that's dealing with the digital all, and that's dealing with the charagma. Now, when they finally rolled this out, all right, a lot of people that are against it are going to change their mind. All right. And the only ones that's not going to change their mind is the elect. Because when you think about it, in order to buy and sell, you have to use their fiat currency. All right. You have to use their fiat currency. All right. They're not accepting real money, which is gold and silver, but they're accepting this fiat currency at the moment, which you can use it in physical form or you can use it in electronic form or digital form. But eventually it's going to be completely electronic. All right. And when they make it completely electronic, they're going to say that you have to get that particular device to store it in. And if you don't have that device, then you won't be able to buy or sell. All right. You won't be able to buy or sell. Now, we're going to come back around to that, but I want to speak on this as well, because in the book of Sirach, the 38th chapter, verse 19, it says, in the affliction also sorrow remaineth, and the life of the poor is a curse of the heart, which shows that we're under a curse, because it's a curse to have to go to your enemies for one of all things. It's a curse to be extremely poor, to the point where you depend upon loans, you depend upon a mortgage loan, you depend upon an auto payment loan, you depend upon student loans, you depend upon credit card loans, and various different loans that are out there. Which shows that, because not only are we going through this, but other nations and people are going through it as well, which shows that the curses are transitioning upon them. But it states within Deuteronomy 28 and 43, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Also in the book of Proverbs 22 and 7, it says, the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. All right. So and I'm sorry, it didn't say slave, but it says servant. All right. But the word servant is interchangeably used for the word slave. So the borrower is servant to the lender. So they capitalize on that. They capitalize on you being broke. They capitalize on you being poor. All right. And that's the reason why they do whatever they can, all right, to drive you further into debt, all right, to make you debt slaves. Now, there's a such thing as debt bondage or debt slavery, which is defined in Wikipedia as debt bondage, also known as debt slavery. Bond labor or peonage is the pledge of a person's service as security for a payment for a debt or other obligations, where the terms of the repayment are not clearly or reasonably stated, and the person who is holding the debt thus has some control over the laborer. And who holds our debt? Who are we in debt to? All right, we in debt unto the Red Shield family. All right, and those other names that they call themselves by, which is that rich, elite that is ruling over the world right now. All right, everything trickles back into them. All right, their tentacles are spread throughout the whole world. So generally, they do whatever they can, to keep people, in debt. And why? Eventually, when it comes down to it, you're going to take their digital all right? That's what it's leading to. Now, the book of Exodus 22 and 25, it says, if thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not lend to him as an usurer. All right, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury. Now, usury is defined as the illegal action or practice of lending people money at unreasonably high rates of interest. And this is what Esau do. He loans money at unusually amounts of interest, which when you go to the bank to get a particular loan, that bank doesn't have that money in there. All right. They put it on a electronic system, which sends it to your bank account, but they borrow that money from the feds. All right. They borrow it directly from the feds. But then they give people exorbitant amounts of money that people can't afford to pay back and charge interest on it. If you could afford it, you never would have borrowed that money to begin with. All right, you never would have borrowed that money to begin with. So you spend the rest of your life trying to pay it off. But then you get hit with something like this thing that's going on right now. All right, that has all of these different names that are Greek names. You got the Delta, you got the Omicron. All right, that happened, going back 2 years ago. Can you believe that it's been two years already? But anyways, it caused more debt to increase. As the rich got richer, the poor got poor. All right, their debt increased. All right, they fell behind, on payments they already couldn't afford to pay back. And as was stated already, if they could afford the money, they never would have borrowed that shit to begin with. All right, so this system is designed to keep you in debt, and charge you exorbitant amounts of interest, on loans. And that shit is wicked as hell. Now, there's a website, called debt.org, which you can go and look at it. And it pretty much tells you, all of the different loans that Americans have and the debt that they're in. And the four major ones that they're behind are mortgages, auto payments, student loans, and credit cards. All right, which Esau loans them that purposely for the point of increasing his wealth. So Leviticus, the 25th chapter, verse 35, it says, if thy brother be waxing poor and falling in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yeah. Though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee, take thou no usury of him, or increase, but fear Yahweh, that thy brother may live with thee. All right, Leviticus 25 and 37. Thou shalt not give him money upon usury, or lend him thy victuals for increase. Now, when you go into the word money, the word there is H3701, which is kasap. And it says silver, money, silver as metal. All right. Which shows you, another word there is shekels. Now, in the state of Israel, they call their money shekels, but yet they don't use gold or silver. All right. They use the same thing that Babylon used, which is electric money. All right, because the majority of people around the world are using electric money. All right, they still have a form of that fiat currency, but for the most part, they're using electric money. But all of these banks are getting ready to do away with the physical and tangible form of it and deal with the electric, form of it. All right, through their central bank digital currencies, which for the most part, all of the central banks around the world are controlled by the red shields. And I think there's just a few that are not. And when you look at those few, they're catching hell, from the whore and from the beast, in regards of them wanting to war against them. Why? Because they want to get in there and change things up. All right, so that eventually they can roll out the system. And what system is that? The system is the MOTB system. We already went into the word usury. So this is what Esau does. Esau uses usury, for increase. All right. He drives you further in debt, which being in debt is being in slavery, because you labor all the rest of your life, trying to pay that money back. Now, going into another article, and this article reads, this is from the Britannica, because you may be wondering what is fiat currency or fiat money. Fiat money is in a broad sense, all kinds of money that are made legal tender by a government decree or fiat. All right. The term is, however, usually reserved for legal tender paper money or coins that have face value far exceeding their commodity values. All right, let me read that again. Usually reserved for legal tender paper money or coins that have face value far exceeding their commodity values and are not redeemable in gold or silver. But wait, when you go into the scripture says that money, because we gave the definition through the Holy Spirit, going into the Hebrew, is kasap. All right, kasap. That was the word used for money within Leviticus 25 and 37. So real money is those precious metals such as gold and silver. All right, real money is gold and silver. Now, although under Edom, we're not using gold and silver as money, he'll either loan you fiat, or give you credit, but it's upon usury, which isn't nothing but zeros and ones on the digital system, but it puts you further and further and further in debt, but it increases his wealth. So this is wicked. Now, this is something that they have to pay for, because the scriptures say when you go into Proverbs 11 and 1, it says a false balance is an abomination to Yahweh, but a just weight is his delight. And this is part of the wine of the wrath of the fornication of the whore. When you go into the book of Revelations, all right, this is part of what she has within that cup, all right, of abomination. All right, she changed the monetary system. All right, they changed the monetary system. All right, and what true money is. All right, which belongs into Yahweh. The scriptures say in Proverbs 16 and 11, a just weight and balance are Yahweh's. All right, and all the weights of the bags are his. So that's another thing that's part of that cup. So they changed the monetary system, all right, into fiat currency, knowing that it will further put people in debt, and this system that they have will further put people in debt to increase their gain. But the reason of putting people in debt is to make them wax poor, so that they will be more willingly. All right. Let's start by saying this, so that they will wax poor and be in debt, and they will have to labor their whole lives to pay that back. But eventually, when Esau rolls out this new thing, all right, which puts people into perpetual slavery, they're going to do it, because in their mind, they're thinking that they're gaining. Now, going back to the book of Leviticus, all right, it says, I am your power, which brought you out of the land of Egypt to give you the land of Canaan to be your power. And our power's name is Yahweh. If thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant. So this is dealing with the Hebrews, that had other Hebrews, that bought them. But as an hired servant, as a sojourner, he shall be with thee and shall serve thee until the year of Jubilee. So basically, he was like, an employee. That's it. You would pay him once he leave out after the 7 years. He will leave out with his family. He'll leave out with money. You'll give him a substance. You'll give him animals, so that he'll be financially set up, all right, to be on his feet when he leaves. A bond servant ain't get shit. And that's how we're serving under Esau Edom. But Esau wants to put you further in slavery. And we're going to get into that. Reading on in verse 41, and then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return into his own family, and into the possession of his fathers shall he return. For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. So when you had your brother or sister, you didn't compel them to serve as a bondman or bondwoman. They would be hired servants. It says, thou shalt not rule over them with rigor, but shall fear Yahweh. And Esau doesn't fear Yahweh. And that's the reason why he calls us to serve with rigor. Because look at what Yahweh did into Egypt. When you go into the book of Exodus, it says that the children of Egypt caused the children of Israel to serve with rigor. And Yahweh brought those plagues upon them, just like he's about to bring the plagues upon Babylon the whore and the rest of the world. Verse 44, both thy bondmen and bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you, and them shall ye buy for bondmen and bondmaids. Moreover, of the children of strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begot in your land, and they shall be your possession. All right, so this is how Esau views us. All right, because he don't view us as being his brother. He broke the brotherly covenant. All right, our forefathers were in the womb together. All right, Jacob and Esau. So Esau broke that brotherly covenant. Even when we were coming out of Egypt, Yahweh told us not to pass through the land of Edom. He gave Mount Seir to them. When we were conquering the other nations, we didn't invade them. We didn't go and conquer Mount Seir because he gave it unto Edom. But they came up against us, as how they're coming up against us now, with the perpetual hatred, with envy. And it's all because they didn't get the covenant. They didn't get the promise. Reading on, verse 46, and ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for possession. They shall be your bondmen forever, but over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule over one another with rigor. So this is the mind state of Esau. He wants to make us a perpetual possession, all right, by putting us within a perpetual slavery. So he's going to drive, or has driven you so far into debt, all right, to the point where you're trying to play catch up. And in your mind, psychologically, you think that your whole life duty is to pay that debt off. But when you get hit with other situations, like a disruption within the supply chain, you get hit with something that's planned out, something that's weaponized, that you can't see, but that's in the air, that you inhale, and it makes you sick, and it shuts the whole world down. And you fall further into debt. All right, that fucks with your mind. All right, if you're not in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. So these people that are not in the know, and that's not full of the Holy Spirit, and that does not believe in Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, they're thinking that their whole world is ending. So Esau is deceiving them. So more things are getting ready to happen, such as what's going over in Kazakhstan. All right, there's about to be uproars. There's about to be seditions. All right, there's about to be a famine. There's about to be people rising up against each other, because this system, as you know it, all right, there's about to be an economic collapse and a social collapse. And people are going to beg for, you know, things to be restored back into normal. So because they're going to be driven so far into poverty, all right, because that financial institution or this financial system, the fiat system, is going to break down, that when Esau presents that digital all or that charagma, they're going to be in the spirit of being perpetual slaves under him. The same thing happened in Egypt. All right, when you go back during the time of Joseph. Now, although they didn't have the digital all or charagma, you can learn from that history because of the great famine that happened for 7 years. There was a 7 years of plenty, which Joseph gave the wisdom unto Pharaoh to go throughout, and gather throughout all Egypt for 7 years, because there were 7 years of plenty. But then there were 7 years of a horrible famine that happened afterwards. And the people came unto Pharaoh. And when they came into Pharaoh, they gave them money. When they no longer had money, they gave their horses, and cattle. When they no longer had that cattle and animals, they gave their bodies and their lands. So this is what Esau wants you to do. He wants you to be so impoverished and so in need that you're deceived into giving your body unto him within a perpetual slavery. So Exodus 21:5, it says, "And if thy servant shall plainly say, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free. Then his master shall bring him unto the judges. He shall also bring him to the door, unto the doorpost, and his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall serve him forever." So this is what Esau wants you to do. He wants you to take that digital awl to receive the RFID chip in the brain implant. And when you receive it, he's going to allow you to use his Cbdc, which is controlled by the red shields, all right, via the Federal Reserve. Now, going into Revelation, the 13th chapter, I'm going to read from the 16th verse through 18, but I'm going to hit the point. It says that he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. Here is wisdom. Let him that have understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. So we already understand that the word for mark is charagma, which means a badge of servitude, or a mark of servitude. All right, because that's what they want to make you. They want to make you a perpetual slave, and they look at you as cattle. All right, so they want to brand their cattle. All right, it says the mark branded upon horses. It also says a scratch or etching, an example, as a badge of servitude. Now, going down to Revelation, the 18th chapter, because it says that the number of the beast, all right, let him that have wisdom count the number of the beast, which the number of the beast is 666, which is Chizai stigma. All right, Chizai stigma. And what does stigma mean? Galatians, the 6th chapter, verse 17, "From henceforth let no man trouble me, for I bear in my body the marks of the Lord Yahushua." Now, the marks that were put in Yahushua were put inside of him by railroad spikes, nails about the size of railroad spikes being hammered into his hands and nailing him to the wooden cross. Now, Esau isn't going to put railroad spikes in your hands, But the act of using a particular instrument to drive in that digital all, or that charagma, all right, is considered a stigma. All right, the same word used there for marks is stigma. And it says a mark pricked in or branded upon the body to ancient Oriental usage. Slaves and soldiers bore the name or the stamp of their master or commander, branded or pricked cut into the bodies to indicate what master or general they belonged to. And there were even some devotees who stamped themselves in this way with the token of their gods. So the root word of stigma is stizo, which means to prick, and it says a mark, incise, or punch for recognition of ownership. So this is the way that the Red Shields are taking control. You're gonna bank directly through the Federal Reserve Bank. That's where you're gonna get your money through. You're not gonna go through an intermediary, which means that they have total control. Total control. And they want this to happen to all the people upon the planet Earth, every single people. And this is their way within their mind. This is the way that they get to continue their rulership. All right, but they're getting ready to be at an end. So with that, I truly hope that this lesson was edifying. All praises, honor, and glory be unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. A double honors to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and love, salutations and mercy be unto the hopeful elect. A shalom and a bad babah.